Hello, my viewers. Welcome again for another wonderful presentation. I remain my humble self, Charles Chukwumakwaka Esquire. As usual, I normally come online to make presentations to explain some certain terms that people used to ask and they used to wonder about what does this thing really mean, and just to give you better clarification, I decided to come in online to give you this wonderful explanation on some of the things you need to know. I remain my humble self, Charles Chukwumakwaka Esquire. I'm a property lawyer. And today I will be talking with you on title deed. What is title deed? What do you understand by title deed? If you are watching me for the first time, kindly go through our YouTube channel and subscribe so that you will continue to get a further presentation in property law practice. And for today's discussion, which I will be walking you through in what is a title deed and what you need to watch out whenever you are buying a property and they want to present a deed of assignment to you. This title deed is very important in Nigeria and as well as every other part of the country whenever you want to buy property. It's a means of proof of ownership. In fact, it's a very good route of title. When you want to buy property, always find out if the property has a deed of assignment. Deed, title deed. They have different deeds, different types of deeds, which I will walk you through. And they use this deed for purchase of property, sale of property, purchase of property, mortgage of property, and as well as lease of property. And as well as so many things, even gifts. You'll be hearing deed of asset, deed of legal mortgage, deed of assignment, deed of conveyance, so many of them. Deed of legal mortgage or equitable mortgage. So you'll be hearing so many of this and you'll be wondering, what is this thing all about? And it's very important to know that it's a very fundamental title for a property ownership. And the title deed is something that you must have whenever you're buying a property. Title deed, because it's an instrument that conveys legal interest in land. It must be by way of deed. So it's not just a mere agreement. Some people, you see them, they will bring agreement and they say land purchase agreement. That is contract of sale. It's just an agreement to sell that property. It doesn't convey the legal title. So please, you need to understand that this land title, a title deed, is a formal document that conveys legal interest in land from one party to another party. And once you understand that, you will know that the person giving the rights is called a grantor or donor, and the person is given to grantee. So all these things they could come in form of settlor, donor, grantor. So the person giving it out is giving a property, a rest, real estate right to A, either from B to A or somebody to. So these are the things you need to understand. So the primary purpose of this title deed is to provide legal evidence of ownership. It's a proper way of proving legal ownership of a property, and you need to understand that. And for future transaction, you need to look at the deed. Whenever you want to buy property, watch out for the deed of assignment. It's very important. If it does not have deed of assignment, that means you are the first person to get deed on that property. Any other person that want to buy that property must look at your own deed, because there are some covenants that run with the land. Those covenants that runs with the land will continue to follow just like when they say generational curse. Generational curse, that's the way. Covenant, they say covenants, the way some people used to explain it. Covenant that follows something. They say covenant is following you from the ancestral and whatever. I don't know how they mention it. It's following that is the same way you follow land covenants. You need to be very careful whenever you want to buy property, because one, you need to know what this title document is all about. What does it have? What are the restrictive covenants in this? And some of these deed of assignment, they will end up inserting some restrictive covenant, negative covenant at the center or at the end of the deed, and you may not pay attention to that. It's very important that you look at all these things so that you will not have any issue in dispute in future. So very important. Now, what are this deed of assignment? Like as I explained to you, it's very simple. Though it has a very unique format. The same way it has, and I want to let you know the key component of a deed of assignment. Every title deed, whether deed of assignment, whether deed of mortgage, whether deed of lease, whether deed of asset, any form of deed, it must carry this important component. Number one, the names of the parties. They call it particulars of the parties. Particulars of the party, that's the assigner, assignee, the mortgagor, mortgagee, the lessor, lessee, depending on whatever you are transacting, whether it's lease, whether it's assignment, whether it's mortgage. Those are the things. Even assets, when you want to give gifts out, deed of gifts, you must have all this in particulars, name and address of that person giving it out and the person that is they are giving out to. Understand this thing, please take note of it. Title deed. This title deed must have the names of the party well spelled out. The name must be correct. Now, the next component of the title deed is that it must have the property description. They call it particulars of the property. Now, the particulars of the property, we have the full details of that property, the boundaries, the dimension, or the size of the property. It must be well described so that you will not have issue with the address and some other key features of the property must be identified. So it's very important that you know that. The next one you need to understand again that is very important is consideration. Consideration is another very important thing. The consideration is money or money value of the property. Any property you are buying, the money value, it is very important that they state the amount or the money value or whatever they call it consideration. So that's what someone is giving in exchange of that land. Then covenants and restrictions. That's what we call it, restrictive covenant. So covenant means agreement, things that you agreed, things that are binding on the parties. So you must look at that before buying property, because one is that look at the deed of assignment very well, deed of mortgage, so you see the covenants, that what the terms, there are some restrictive and negative covenants. So it's very important that you look at those things. It defines the terms of the agreement in detail, the benefit of such easements is very important. Then the next execution part, the deed must have execution part, and that signatory part. The parties must sign it. They must sign it. If they don't sign it, it's invalid. So what you just have is an invalid document. Very important that you know all these things so that whenever they present you a deed, you watch out to that. Now, there are several types of deeds that we recognize in Nigeria. What are those deeds? Sometimes you will be wondering, well, how does it look like? It's just a very simple document that you just present. Types of deeds. Now, I want to tell you one that most people don't know that it's a deed. Most practitioners don't know that it's a deed. Certificate of occupancy. Certificate of occupancy. Some people don't know that it's a deed. C of O. C of O is of different type. There's what is called private C of O. A C of O on a deemed grant. Deemed grants, they call it. Some call it private C of O. Some call it governor consent. Private deemed grant consent. So you need to understand that this is a document issued by the government. They can prepare it. They prepare it in form of a deed. They call it deemed grant. deemed grants. For those, and now this one is given to those that has the property as of the time that the land use act started. So if you have the ownership as of the time the land use act started, which was 1978, then the law is deemed that that property that government has granted the ownership to you. What you need to do is to just prepare a deed of deemed grant, statutory deed of deemed grant by virtue of section 34 of the land use act, and go for governor to consent to that. That is C of O. That's when they give you that deemed grant. That's when your 99 years start counting. That same 99 years they give in ordinary paper, they will say certificate of occupancy. Certificate of occupancy has deed at the back of it. So if you go through it, you see the terms, you see your lease, because it's a certificate of occupancy is a form of a leasehold interest. It's a grant of lease interest, because for 99 years period. So take note of that. Some people don't know that certificate of occupancy. When the first day I mentioned it, some people were like, what this, even professionals. Yes, I will tell you boldly, go there and check it. It has the component of all the qualities of deed. You understand that? So it's very important that you know that. Then the next is normal deed of assignment. Deed of assignment is the same thing with deed of conveyance. For those in the PCL state, property and conveyancing law state, they call it deed of assignment. Those in conveyancing state, that's CA state, they call it deed of conveyance, like Anambra, Imo, Abia state, Enugu, Ebonyi state. So they are under even Delta states. They also under CA state. So, but PCL state, the Western Nigeria, Lagos, Ogun State, Oyo State, Osun State, they are all, except Kwara State. Kwara State is under CA state. They use deed of conveyance. So even though some people use power of attorney to transfer their legal interest, that's what is accepted by the state. But deed of assignment and deed of conveyance is the same thing. So you need to understand that it's a form of deed, and it has all those components of deed as I mentioned. Then the next is governor consent. When you hear about governor consent, it comes in form of deed, title deed. It's a title deed. So you just, from deed of assignment, you approach government of the state to give you consent for that ownership of that, to own that particular place for the unexpired residue. That means you have the right to own that property for that particular period of right to occupy, even though you are calling yourself owner. The land is still being owned by the government, but they have given you statutory right to occupy this place for a certain period of time, 99 years, which must be transferred. So when they are going for governor consent, they are giving you consent to continue the unexpired right of occupancy. So the rights you have to occupy that place for the unexpired term of that 99 years is what they call consent. So consent, they can't give you governor consent if they have not granted the statutory right of occupancy for 99 years. So most people, when they go out, they will say, is it a registered deed? Is it a registered title? What you are just calling a registered deed is a stamp duty deed. The deed that you just take to the lands, they will go there and do stamp duty on it and give it to you now, because you are seeing stamp. Does it have registered title? When you are talking about registered deed, you are talking about governor consent. A lot of us are confusing ourselves with all these things. So sometimes I used to tell people, make a research and know more about all these things. Now, what are the importance of a deed in property ownership? Now, number one, a deed is a proof of ownership. It's a very powerful proof of ownership because it's under seal. That's why they put sign, seal, and deliver. You see this thing, that's what made it to be. Forget the way they draft it, whether they put it title deed or whether they call it anything. They must put sign, seal, and deliver. If they don't put the sign, seal, and deliver, the court can still infer from the conduct and from the language of the deed when they look at the terms. Because there are some ways that they can couch the deed and it will not even be a deed. And there's a way they couch agreements it become a deed. Sign, seal and deliver. It's very important that it appear. Always look at before it's signed. Before the signing part, sign, seal and deliver by within name person, mortgagor, mortgagee, assigner, assignee, whatever, lessor, lessee. Very important that you know. Now, the next other importance of the title deed is that it helps to facilitate transactions. Very easy. Once you present a deed, somebody will look at the reciter of that deed. Each of the deed has a reciter part. A proper and well couched deed must have a reciter. That reciter part is just the trace of history, the devolution of the title from A to B or to C to until they get to you. That's what you need to watch out to see from hand to hand. Then you investigate whether there's some any other thing. So it helps to facilitate transaction. You use it to do your proper investigation for your due diligence. The next important of the title deed is legal protection. It gives you legal protection. Most of you now, if you are watching me on this video and you know you have a document and you don't have a title deed, please go back to that person. In fact, call your lawyer no, so that you go back and start preparing your title deed. Go and get it. Don't, if you have only the receipt, you don't have a title, you don't have a property, you don't have legal protection. I'm telling you honestly, title deed give you legal title. Every receipt convey only equitable title. I will explain to you later in my subsequent video. That's why I will encourage you to stay tuned, watch my video, continue to watch, stay tuned, and click on the notification bell so that you follow me on my YouTube channel, Facebook, Instagram, any of my any of my social media channels. You will learn a lot. I'm spending some minutes of my days to make this presentation to educate and enlighten people. So take note of that. Your own is just to watch and listen and do and apply it. So very important that you protect your property rights. Transfer of rights is another important thing. It transfer legal interest. It transfer rights from A to B. Once you have it, it's evidence to prove that this person has already transferred his right to me. That's why I see that. So, and also it helps for historical record. Very important that you know that historical record through the reciter of a deed. You will see this, how it passed from one person to the other. So now, what are the ways to, how do you register this title deed? How do you perfect the title deed? Note that it's not about getting it. After getting it, you perfect it. Have you heard about perfection of title document? Perfection of title document is very important. Every deed must be perfected. Once it's not perfected, it's invalid. Yes, you heard me clear. A title deed, what is not perfected is invalid. Now, what do I mean by that? By the virtue of the Land Use Act, Section 1 of the Land Use Act, it has vested the land of the state in the governor, lands in urban areas in the government, lands in the rural area to the local government authority. Now, you must have the statutory right of occupants. So, statutory right, that's government right to occupy this place for a certain period of time. So, that's what perfection means. You go to seek governor's consent on that title. Now, by so doing, you after preparing the deed, what are the state? You prepare the deed, you submit it, make an application to the land bureau of that state where the land is located. They will pass through the processes of consent, and perfection comprises of 3 stages. Number 1 is stamp duty, consent, and registration. That's the cocoa. These are the stages that the perfection process must go through before you now have what is called duly perfected the title deed. So please take note of that. It's very important that you know that. But I wish you all the best in your land pursuit and your land investment. Please make sure that you have your title deed whenever you're buying a property. If you have not subscribed to my channel, please do so right now so that you continue to get more information. Stay tuned for my next episode where I will take you and explain some other thing that you need to know about property title. Some other thing. Thank you so much. I wish you all the best for watching. Bye.